Okay, no matter how many times I do this, I always have a blank stare every time I begin. Hello, I am Kyoka, the awkward black nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. Last year, my dogs and I traveled to 10 countries. This channel is for black women who want to do the same thing, who might be a little awkward, might be a little weird. You can get out there and see the world too, because I did it. Today, I have a special guest with me. Let me bring her on. Hi,
Hi.
this is Kirsten.
Kiersten, yes.
Kiersten, yeah.
Yeah.
And tell the people a little bit about
Good.
yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I love just being able to talk with and hopefully inspire other Black women. So a little bit about me is I have been living abroad for 7 years. I had 2 years in Panama, and the last 5 years I've been living in Spain. I started off teaching English, and the last couple of years I have become a freelance writer, focusing on different things such as travel, women empowerment, personal finance, just a slew of different topics, but I love words. I think that's something really key about me. I also like to say that I'm a multidimensional person, uh, which means just kind of just means there's just a lot of layers to me. There's a lot of layers, a lot of interest to me. I'm a Gemini, and I love helping people, which is why too I've done coaching as well, just kind of help people really connect to themselves, change their mindset. And I always like to say that I like to help people think differently.
I love that. There's so much there. We love a multi-dimensional queen. I live. Um,
Thank you.
I do just want to remind everybody to like the video, drop down in the comments. Black folk, we speak when we come into the room, so please speak when you come into the room, or speak if you have a question for Kirsten. So let's hop in. You said that you taught English abroad. So what was that process
Yeah.
like? Did you do any study abroad programs while you were in college, or was it just jumping into teaching?
It was kind of jumping into teaching. I had always wanted to do a study abroad program when I was in college. So for those people that maybe felt like they missed their opportunity, when they're in college, you did not. You can still go abroad. And the way that I did that is I first got my teaching English certification, which you can get. You can just like Google where to get this. And I do tell people just get the one that's the most cost efficient for you because the certification can range. But once I got that certificate, it was kind of like my key to teaching English abroad. So I started looking for opportunities to teach online. I moved to Panama and I started teaching English there. And then what brought me to Spain was actually a language assistant program. It's gotten on like TikTok and stuff, has gone a little popular. Be wary of what you see on TikTok, but essentially, it is a program where you go to Spain, you come to Spain, and you are a language assistant in bilingual schools, and you help the teachers to teach English to the students.
Okay. And do you speak Spanish fluently, or
No, yeah, not fluently. That is my goal. I do have like a strong B1, B2 on some days, and pretty much what that is just kind of like an intermediate, advanced kind of level. I do speak Spanish daily, but yeah, but I think I'm one of those people that when it comes to language learning, I'm a little bit more slower. I'm gonna say a little bit more intense with it. There's some people that I know who have moved abroad and like within a year they were just like speaking fluently. I am not that person, but I am someone that has navigated conversations, friendships, going to the grocery store, going to the doctor with the amount of Spanish that I have, and it's something that it's a skill that I feel like I'm going to be learning and improving for my whole life because the Spanish that I learned in Panama was definitely different, or is definitely different than the Spanish that now I'm using and practicing here in Spain. So yeah, no matter where I go, I feel like Spanish is something that will help me get by, but it also is something that is going to help me to keep learning and keep growing.
100%. I feel like if you have to get, so like obviously as Americans, the primary language is English, but if you have to
Mm-hmm.
learn a second language, Spanish is definitely high on the list, right? Because like most countries speak Spanish, or a lot of
Yes.
countries do, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
are you taking classes while you're there, or is it just like day
I
to day going outside you're learning?
Yeah, I did take classes for a while, but then my schedule just kind of got it a little bit crazy, and it was hard for me to be consistent with classes.
Mhm.
But I am consistent with like I have my morning routine, and my morning routine does involve like doing Spanish tutorials online. There's like YouTube channels that I follow to actually kind of like learn the grammar and the mechanics behind the language. And then the other part is just like I go out and I have conversations with people. I go to the grocery store. I have friends that only speak Spanish. So yeah, so it's something that it's like I have I practicing like the grammar and the intricacies of the language by myself, and then I go out and live my life, and I get to practice it there.
I love that. Good morning, y'all, or good afternoon. It's always morning for me. I don't know what like I never know what time of day it is. But hi,
Good
everybody.
day.
Good
Yes.
day. um okay, so let's talk a lot about the travel aspect of this. It's a big hurdle for a lot of people to just go abroad alone, right? So like what was your journey like getting to a new country and getting acclimated? How were you able to do that?
Dance was
What kind of dance? I know because I follow you on social media. But tell the
yes.
people.
Yes. So when I first moved to Panama, and actually it's how I met one of my best friends, and we're still friends to this day. I was like, I'm going to take a bachata class because there was a bachata class. Bachata is a Dominican style of dance where you dance in a partner. And so I went to take that class, and I met my friend there. And then I also started taking Cuban salsa classes while I was in Panama. And then when I moved to Spain, that was also just another way that I started to acclimate myself. Was finding dance classes, and at first it was a little bit of a struggle, and then there was the pandemic. So then like nothing was open, and there wasn't any dance. So they're not expecting this. Yeah. But
Because this
it's
is the introverted channel.
yeah.
So, but I told you I try to have extroverts come over here and so we could see how the other half lives. Okay,
Yes.
you will not catch me in a dance class. But
Which is totally fine. I fully 100% believe that everybody should try dance or have dance in their life. Oh, hi, Stephanie. But if you're not, I think the takeaway is to find the things that you love, find the things that you enjoy, and look for communities and look for people that are doing those things. So if you are more introverted and you like book clubs, then like going to bookstores and libraries and things like that. Just kind of finding the things that make you feel good and make you feel comfortable. And dance, it just happens to be what mine is, and that helped to open a lot of doors for me.
100%. When I was staying in Spain, I took a lot of yoga classes, and
Mm-hmm.
some of those weren't in English. But if you know the moves, you can figure it out. But
Yeah.
doing things like that, doing things that you enjoy, helps with the community building. It helps you make friends. You're getting outside the house. I love it. Speaking of that, so I know we're talking about Panama, but we'll talk about Spain a little bit just because I heard something the other day and I just want to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that it's kind of difficult to make friends while in Spain. What's your take on that?
It can be 100%. I think it depends on the location. I think that's the biggest thing. If you go to somewhere like Madrid or Barcelona, even Valencia, the bigger cities, it can be easier just because there's more of an international crowd.
Definitely.
Um, I feel like I've been very fortunate in many ways. One, it's just like I use the Facebook groups, and if there's a Black person where I am, I will
You
message them.
flag them down.
They're like, "Hey, what's going on?" But sometimes, if you live in like a smaller city, and I live in a smaller city, it can be more difficult just because I know when I first moved to where I am now, a lot of the people here have grown up together. And they have their groups and they have their people, and so I think too when I came to Spain, what helped me is I was fortunate to work in a school. I was assigned to school. I didn't get to choose, but I was assigned to school where the people there were friendly and they wanted to show me around and they were open. But that doesn't happen to everyone. So I think that if you want to come to Spain and you're worried about that, I think that fortunately Spain has a lot of different activities. There's hiking groups, there's rock climbing groups, there's language exchanges, there's I don't know tours, tapas tours, whatever. Um, yeah, there's a lot of different activities, but it can be hard at first. Um, but sometimes and that was my experience too because I was just like I don't know anybody, but the more you put yourself out there, the more you'll find your tribe.
Yeah, definitely. And so the luxury bucket list asks, what part of Spain? Because I didn't ask you what city you're in. And if you guys have any
Yeah,
questions for Kirsten, please drop down in the comments and put a Q in front of it so I know that it's a question.
yes, yeah, so I live, a lot of people don't know where it is, but I'm working on improving that. So if you I live in the south of Spain. The region or the area is called Andalusia. So it's very popular because down in this region we have Seville, we have Granada. So the south of Spain is very different from the north of Spain, but the south of Spain is very culturally rich, with so many things. If you know where Granada is, there's a city called Granada, which is pretty popular among tourists. I'm about an hour above Granada in a city called Jaén.
Hmm.
Um, yes, it is a smaller city, about 100, I think like 100,000 people or something like that, which is really small for me because I came from California. I came from Los Angeles, but it is known as the olive oil capital of Europe. So we have like the largest production of olive oil, and we have like over like 60 million olive trees, I think, in the entire, not in the city itself, but in the entire region. So
That's
that's where I am.
that's correct. And you know what that's making me think about? This is so random. My grandma used to like stop on the side of the road and like take branches of trees that she was interested in to like what so like when I was traveling and I was in Albania and I would see an olive tree, I'd be like, oh my god, my grandma would try to put that in. Like, so I can only imagine with 60,000 olive trees. Like, oh, I love it. We love nature. But anyways,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Mhm.
So, do you feel like living in a smaller city it's been easier for you to kind of immerse yourself in the culture and make friends and be a part of the community?
Definitely. I definitely immersed myself in the culture. Making friends kind of took a while.
Hmm.
Luckily, I met some international people, and then slowly I met more Spanish friends. But I think that in a smaller town, and especially here, people are just really friendly. I would like go to the store and end up having a conversation with someone because they'll ask me like where I'm from, and then I would tell them this, and then you get to see the same people over and over again. And I think I really like that. I really like going to a place and knowing that like, oh, it's this person, or like everything, pretty much everything here except for some major supermarkets are like mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
So like no matter where I go, like most of the time I'm buying directly from the owner or someone in the family. And so I think that that has helped, and I like that because I feel like it's easier because I'm not like, they know that I'm a foreigner, but they also know that I live here. And just because it's not a big touristy place, I think in the big touristy places, there is that kind of divide of like this is where the tourists go and this is where the local goes. It's not really like that here. So that's been really nice to kind of experience of like, oh yeah, this is just the local bar that everybody goes to.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a great experience. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Bahan Alpha 4 says she's moving to Spain very soon. Very exciting.
Yay, congratulations.
Congratulations. Love that for you. Brown Girls Invest 2 or D, my homegirl. She was on the channel. She asked, is that because of the language barrier or the friendliness of the people outside of the larger cities?
I think if we're asking about like integration of like how that's different within like a bigger city, and so definitely here in Spain or where I live in the smaller cities, like it helps to know Spanish. Um, but I think that too, I've experienced both in Panama and in Spain that people tend to be friendlier in smaller cities. I think bigger cities are just really. I think they're great, and I love my big cities. I love Madrid, but it's busier. There's more traffic. There's more things to do. The cost of living is higher. People are stressed in the bigger cities. Here, people
Right.
are not as stressed, so they're gonna take a minute to talk to you. They're curious. They have the time. They have the interest. So I think that kind of it influences the interactions that I have with people.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The luxury bucket list says getting a second home with an olive tree is a goal, regardless where we decide to live in Europe. I think that's a
Yeah,
pretty good goal.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Bahan Alpha asks, how long have you lived in Hain? Not sure
Yeah,
if I
high end. Yeah.
has it
No,
been.
I don't think I said.
Uh-huh.
It's been 4 years here. I was my first year in Spain. I was in a city on the other side called Cartagena. So I was there for a year, and then I moved to Jaén 4 years ago.
Awesome. Okay. Yvonne asks, do you have residency? Are you fluent in Spanish? Yvonne from Lit Life. We love her. She's another writer.
Yay! Love it, love it. I do have temporary residency here, so I have like it's technically called like a freelance visa, and so that gives me residency for 2 years. So I have to renew again in 2026. Yeah, and I will one day be fluent in Spanish. I'm not fluent yet.
We're claiming it. You know, you just walk around and say you're fluent in Spanish. No one is going to question you over here. We'll just not.
I wanted to be honest with the people, but thank you for that. Next interview idea, I'll be like, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, could you speak to the cost of living in Spain? I've heard that I've experienced that it is very cost efficient there, especially with like groceries and those 2 to 3 euro glasses of wine that I
Oh
love.
yes.
Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
delicious food. Anyways, this is a you question. Can you speak to
Yeah.
the cost of living in Spain?
Yeah, I would love to. So, cost of living is always a really tricky question for me to answer, just because depending on the perspective you take. Yes, there are some things that are substantially different when it comes to the prices, especially comparing the price of things here in Spain and the United States. For example, like my rent, I think my rent is, if I have a one bedroom apartment, it's pretty small, but it's a good size for me. And it's 400 euros a month. So that's like maybe 450 USD. But that's different. If I were living in Madrid, I definitely wouldn't be able to find a one bedroom.
Yeah.
I think 900 euros would probably be like the cheapest I could find a one bedroom. So it really just depends. But the thing is, what's happening in Spain, it is more cost efficient in a lot of ways, but we have to not take that for granted, because I have experienced and a lot of other people have experienced that things are going up here too. Inflation has risen. Like, even I went to the grocery store today and there was like a little sign that said like the IVA, which is like the tax, has gone up on certain price like foods like eggs and I think like pasta or something like that. So, and even too, the price of olive oil, and I will say this forever, because when I first got here, the
Right.
price of olive oil for like, a liter or like a half liter was like 4 or 5 euros, like nothing. Now it's like almost 10 euros
Those
for
are
like the same
American
bottle.
prices.
Yes, I was like, what is this? Where am I?
At that point, you need to start making your own olive oil. Like, go outside, go press some olives, go pick some olives off the tree, make your own olive oil.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, it's just right here. Like I could just grab a cup. Nobody would know.
No one would know.
Like there's so many. um, so yeah, so I think that if you make a U.S. salary, like a decent U.S. salary, Spain is going to probably feel like a luxury because the cost is so much. But um, if you make like a salary that is here, like if you are a Spanish resident, the the price of living or the cost of living it can be a little bit different because you're making less. So I would say if you're living in a smaller city, I'm going to kind of throw out some estimate numbers just to give people an idea, but nobody like quote me on this. Don't be like, here's instead is exactly this much. But just to give you an idea, I think if you're going to live in a bigger city, making around 2,000 to 3,000 USD in a bigger city you're comfortable. If you make around like maybe 1,500 or 2,000 living in a smaller city, you'll be comfortable. So I think that the cost of living in Spain in comparison to the United States is definitely drastically different, but it's something that you have to be mindful of because the economy here fluctuates, and you have to be mindful too. And if you go into a bigger city, just know that the cost of living is going to be a little bit higher. You might see some prices that are more close to the United States. If you go into a smaller city, there's going to be a dramatic difference.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, yeah.
Speaking of mindfulness, has there been any adjustments that you've had to make to live abroad? Maybe
Ooh,
mentally?
yeah, yeah. Ooh, I'm trying to. I mean, that's such a great question, and I'm trying to remember just because it's been so long. But I think I always go back to patience. Like it's just um, that things are not like in the United States. There's love it or hate it. There are systems that work. There are systems that work if you have to go to like the DMV or go to the bank or go to like there's systems that work, and customer service is a very big priority in the United States. In other places, no. The other places, you're on your own sometimes.
Listen, do you want this cup of coffee? Because if you don't, you can leave.
That's literally the
Period.
mentality.
Period. Do you
There's,
want this
there's,
mango? Because if you don't, you can also leave. People don't care. People don't care about your time. Oh no, did she freeze? Did I freeze? Oh, is it me? Hold on. Yeah, people don't care about your time. People don't care about where you have to go. Um, it's all about do you want this or not? Yes or no. Do you have the money? Yes or no. Okay. Customer service is shoddy. Um, oh, I think she clicked out. You guys, thanks so much. I'm gonna take this opportunity to tell you to like the video. Oh, here she goes. Let's bring her back up. Hi.
yeah, sorry about that. I think maybe they're like, no. We were talking about the mental shifts. So
Mhm.
I think patience, customer service is either non-existent or completely different than what you might have expected in the United States. I think I think being alone sometimes, because I think that learning to sit with myself, because when you move to a new country, as we talked about before, even though I've been very fortunate to have integrated within different cultures and have different groups of people, um, I didn't in the beginning. I didn't have the like safety net of like friends and family that I had when I was in the United States. And then sometimes I couldn't, because of the time difference, I couldn't like just call them and just be like, I need a vent or I need to talk, because
Yeah.
if I wanted to do that, it was like, so I think just being comfortable being alone and being with my own company for a while until I started to build that community. Um, and then really just adjusting to different cultures and how they view life and how they treat life, and getting rid of that like hustle mentality. I think, and just learning more about different people, different cultures. I think that, U.S. is so, when you're in the US, you're just so focused on the US. You're so focused on what's happening there, what's going on, the drama. But then you step outside of that and you're like, oh, wait a minute. There are other countries and other things happening around the world that have nothing to do with the United States, but are still very important. So I
It's
think those.
crazy how like insulated the US is. Just
Mhm.
like our media and the things that we talk about that seem like such big deals, but like overseas don't really matter. Um, it's insane. So when I came back from being overseas for a year, I was like, what? Like everybody, there were just so many things I was just confused about. Like, why does everybody have a Stanley Cup? Or like just why why are there so many variations of Oreos? Like it's like an entire aisle of Oreos. Different things like that. Um
Those are two great examples.
because I was just very like the difference in the way we live life in the US and the way people do over
Yeah.
abroad are just like even like the size of markets
Yes. Hmm.
insane. And I'll do like a separate video on that, like the culture shock that I had to get through coming back to the US, just based on like the environments being just totally different, you know?
Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so I would say like, do you have any, oh wait, no, you know what? I want to talk about, you talked about being isolated. Um,
Hmm.
so in what ways do you feel like this experience you living abroad, you've grown from the time
Hmm.
when you were younger and being in the US? Like, in what ways have you grown?
I love that question. I think that I I became braver. I think I always kind of, yeah. I think I was able to take risk. I wasn't. I was more resistant to taking risks when I was younger. I was very cautious and very, kind of play within the lines. But kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, I have taken risks, and I think that I've just learned to be happier with myself, because I got to decide for the first time when I was moved abroad that, like, okay, this is who I am, and not be weighed down by other people's perceptions of me. I think that was something that really motivated me to leave, because I was just like, oh, I'm tired. I don't like being put into a box, or or one kind of like, Kiersten is A, B, and C. And I'm like, no, I'm all the whole alphabet, like just depending on what day it
Yes.
is, right? So being able to really make my own identity, I think, is the way that I've grown. I think that I've just been more accepting of other people, of other cultures. I think I always was, but I think um, I've just learned to like look at things in different perspectives. Um, yeah, because yeah, you have to be able to see things from a different point of view. And I think it's weird because I feel like I connected more to being a black woman being abroad than I was than in the United States, because I was allowed to, like, again, with my identity, define what it meant to be a Black woman.
Escape Black excellence. You got away from Black excellence and people telling you that the way you're living life is wrong. Yup.
Mm-hmm.
Yup.
Exactly.
I love that for you. I love that for you. And one of my goals for my channel is that we just move the needle a little bit. Like every Black woman
Mm-hmm.
who I can get to divest from hustle culture, divest from these unrealistic expectations,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
success.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The goal.
So then you talked a little bit about kind of growing into yourself a bit and loving being a Black woman. So how have you been received in Spain? And we can talk about Panama too, as a Black woman.
Yeah. It's hmm. I think I've been very fortunate, and so I tread lightly when I say this, because I do know other Black women whose experience has been different being a Black woman in Spain. Um, but I've been very fortunate too. I feel like I've been very accepted, in a sense where it kind of feels like my my ethnicity doesn't really come up on a normal basis. Yeah, I think it's just kind of like people, and I've accepted that, like, this is me, but not associating, like, how do I describe this? I feel like when I was in the United States, I was Kiersten. I'm gonna be very blunt and just speak. Kiersten was like the Black girl, but she was also like the whitewashed Black girl, or she was this type of Black girl, or it was just always some type of like association. And here I just kind of feel like it doesn't really come up that much. Um, yeah, in my day to day life, there have been some awkward moments, where people kind of maybe say something inappropriate, or make a joke. I've had some like intense conversations about like Black hair and racism and culture, and things like that. But I think it does help that, I'm from the United States. I think because that is another aspect of Spain, of the integration of other African cultures, and different people. And so I know that I've had that conversation with the people of like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm also, from the United States. I teach English, so there is, and I think too, the other thing is that I don't think a lot of people know that I'm from the United States. People think that I've often been perceived
Brazilian.
as like French. Hmm?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Brazilian or Caribbean. People think
So
French.
that has happened too. But yeah, people I think first think French, and yeah, and people, yeah, and then I'm like, oh no, I don't speak any bit of French.
It's like I feel
Uh,
like I've had that happen. I feel like I should apologize. Like I apologize. No, just English over here. So sorry. Really sorry. Like not exotic Black, just regular Black. Apologize.
just regular.
Just regular Black. Sorry. Um, but
Yeah.
you talk so okay, so that's really interesting. Is it is this an offensive? Do you find it difficult to build community with other Black people while there, or do you feel like it's not that big of a deal?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in some aspects, because there's not that many where I live personally. In the bigger cities, I definitely noticed that there are like other communities. I've connected. I feel like I have my kind of group of Black women that I go to. They're scattered throughout Spain, but they're there. So it depends on where they're at. But then if they're it's weird because I would love to connect more to like the African women that I see. Um, but there hasn't been, like, I feel like with Black Americans, it's like that instant, like, oh yeah, I see you. Okay, we're there. But I haven't quite always had that connection with like Africans, which I hope changes one day. But other than that, I kind of feel like, um, when it comes to building community with other Black women, the challenge is that a lot of the Black women that I know are in different locations. They're in Madrid, they're in Valencia,
Yeah.
but it's there. The connection is there from the start, thanks to like Facebook and other means of connection. But I think that I don't know. I feel like Black women, they always kind of gravitate toward each other. They always kind of like know how to seek each other out.
Yeah, we like finds like.
Exactly.
um it's so interesting, and I wanna talk about it, but I don't think this is the forum, because there's something to be said about um like interacting with people from Africa as a Black American in Europe. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's like a separate conversation, and I think it also depends on location. Because in my
Yeah.
experience, I think um, depending on the country, I've had different interactions based off of that.
Mm.
We're not doing that today. That's too
Side note.
exactly
Different than that.
bookmarking that for later.
Exactly.
Exactly. So luxury bucket list says it does. Europe is more nationalist than racist, it seems. When I am in Paris, they insist I'm French and try to speak to me. I barely speak English. Ciao. We are all managing. But it's true. Like, I think in Europe, it's definitely being American and having the American accent is a sort of like social currency. Just because people
Yeah.
assume, they assume Americans have money and all this other stuff. So, you know, but I
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
you said, that idea about kind of almost being able to live outside of the racism, right, in the US. It
Mhm.
sounds very liberating, I think, the Black experience overseas. Yeah.
To
Um,
in and to like learn like kind of, and I think I've been able to, I don't want to say like learn about racism, but it's kind of like I've been able to dive into more of like read more books and do more research on the topic of race itself, and inequalities in a safer space, if that makes sense, because it's like, oh, I know that like I'm reading the book from Taishi, like between the
Tiny
world and
Coats,
us.
Tiny Coats. Hmm.
Yes, thank you. Oh, me and names. And it's like, oh, okay, I can reflect on this without it having to be like, okay, I'm going to go outside and probably experience the same thing. Like, so it's kind of, I feel like I've just been able to kind of, and then too, it's the weird thing that has happened. I know, especially when George Floyd happened, people will like ask me things here. Like my Spanish friends will be like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" or "What happened?" Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Y'all, I can't explain it really. Like I can, but we're
Hmm.
gonna need like at least 2 hours just to get through like the basics,
Right.
because it's intense." So being able just not to carry the the burden of racism. Not to say that racism doesn't exist in Spain, but it's different and it's not as violent as in the United States. I think racism in the United States is very violent. It is very the
Intent.
destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very intentional. And it's scary and horrible. And so being abroad, I think it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll get some weird looks from people. Maybe someone won't want to like touch my hair. I don't know. Maybe someone will be like, well, maybe I'll be fetishized, but I know that I'm not going to be in danger essentially because of the color of my skin.
Right. Um. So yeah, if it's bad all over, I would rather be in a place where I felt safe than,
Mm.
we're gonna get off that. So, because my brain, this is a separate discussion. This is 100% a separate discussion. We're not even going down this rabbit hole. Um, let's talk about some of your fears. So initially, I know you've been abroad for, I think you said 5 years.
Mhm.
Initially taking that leap, what were kind of some of the fears that you might have had? What were some of the hesitations?
Ooh, I'm trying to remember. I think like, is it going to work out? Um,
Yep, Katrina.
yeah, yeah, when my Susan Wilson is doing that, but yeah, I totally agree. I think my fears were like, is it gonna work out? Like, can I do this? Like, can I really do this? Where am I gonna live? Because I think I like when I first moved abroad, I rented an Airbnb for like 2 weeks just to kind of get like my footing, and I was just like, ah. I think yeah, just like, is this gonna work? Will I be safe? Um, was a really big fear. When I started kind of freelance writing, I was kind of just like, oh, can I actually do this? Can I make a living? Am I good enough? Do I have what I need? Um, yeah, I think it's just kind of like, can I make this work? Will I have to go back home? Like that was another fear I think of mine. I was just like, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. I know I could. I'm very fortunate that like I have my parents in California, so if I just needed to go back home, they would welcome me back with open arms. But I was like, I don't want to go back.
It's
About that,
always
but
important to remember that you can go back. Like,
yeah.
just saying that, because that was something that helped me take the leap to actually go. Is my aunt,
Mm-hmm.
she was like, you can just come back, you're not going to the moon, you can go, you can come back home. Like,
Yeah.
you can always. So you said the magic words, though we want to talk about writing. um
Mm-hmm.
what was the transition like for you to go from teaching to writing full time? You mentioned having some apprehensions, like, can I do this? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
was that like? What was the process like?
Yeah, so I started kind of freelance writing a little bit while I was teaching English, to kind of get my feet wet, also just to like, make a little extra money.
Okay. Coins,
Because
coins,
teaching
supported.
English, yeah, I mean, teaching English pays decently, but not great.
Do you want to
But
share with the people?
yeah, I can share. So this is the time when it's like, don't always listen to TikToks. I've seen some videos about this, and I'm like, girl. So I remember it depends on the region that you're in. When I was teaching English for this language assistant program in Spain, the monthly income I think was 700 euros, which is doable if you have like a roommate, especially if you have a roommate, because like if you have a roommate, then you're probably only paying like 250, 200 for a room, a little extra for utilities, and then you don't have too many more expenses, like maybe like phone going out, things like that. But 700, and then if you're in the big city, it's like Madrid, it's like I think 1,000 euros. But when you really break down the cost, it's doable, but it's not like you're living in luxury. So if you want to like travel more, if you just want to like, I don't know, buy more groceries or go get your nails done, then it does help to have a little bit extra income on the side. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
um
But
okay, so going back to freelancing.
yes, I was like, where were we? Yes. So yeah, so I started freelance writing when I was teaching English, and then so I think my life is very. My friend was just talking to me about this, about how like the changes in life and how these kind of naturally come about. A change kind of naturally came about for me when I think it was like my third year teaching English in Spain, and the program that I was in required me, if I wanted to stay in the program, I would have to move regions and move cities, because you're only allowed to teach in the same region for 2 years at that time. So I was like, I don't want to move. Like I was just very like, I was just like, oh, I don't really want to start over in a new city. Da da da. So I was just like, well, what if I've been freelance writing for a while now. What if I just did that full time and then like teach English like individually, to like give like one-on-one lessons as another way to supplement my income. And I was just like, yeah, like I realized too, like early on, that I really just loved writing, and it's not something that I get tired of. I mean, every now and then, yes, of course, because I'm human. But I was just like, no, I really, really like this. Like, I feel good when I do it. I like the clients that I was working with. Some of the clients that I started working with, I'm still working with today. And so it was just, it was being realistic. It was looking at how much I needed to make, and I think that's something when you go into the freelance world, it's like you need to understand how much you need to make, because then you know how much to charge or what projects to take on or how much to take on and stuff like that. But it was being realistic, and it was scary, because I was just like, well, it's good now, but is it going to stay this way? That is always the question. But you learn to be resourceful, and you learn to really tap into your network. You learn to build a network. And so, yes, I think those are the things that kind of like, even though I was scared, it was kind of like, okay, if I want to make this work, like I kind of have to make, because like it was either well, I had like three options really. It was either pursue freelance writing and stay in Spain and stay in the city that I was in or that I'm in now, teach English, continue to teach English, and start over in a new part of Spain, or go back home or or leave. Essentially, either go back home or go to another country. And I was just like, well, let's try the first one because that one feels more like what I want to do. And so I think a great way to kind of combat fear is always just to is knowledge. It's just like, okay, let's look at the numbers. Let's be prepared. What does this look like? Can I really do this? And yeah.
Yeah. And no one asked me, but I'll just say it's a gift to be able to say that you like what you do for a living. So
Mm-hmm.
many people hate their jobs,
Yeah.
right? But if you feel like, wow, this is very fulfilling, I enjoy what I'm doing, like I think that's amazing. You
Yeah.
also touched on something too that I want to say something about. Knowing your number gets you farther, right, than not. So
Mm-hmm.
realizing how many clients you need, how many contracts you need a month, understanding like what
Mm-hmm.
services are, how much you're charging, things like that are very beneficial. Um, there's another question. So initially, how did you get your clients?
How did I get my clients? One client I found on Indeed. It was just they were looking for a freelance writer, so job boards. Another was just looking, just cold pitching, and what that is just like finding a company and sending them an email of like, hey, do you need help? That's how Clever Girl Finance is one of the companies I work with, and I think I literally was just like reading an article, and then I went to their website, and they're like hiring, and I like sent them in my application, and that went from there. Another client that I had, I don't have them anymore, but it was through referral. I was just posting stuff on social media about me being a writer, and then someone that I know contacted me from their company. It was like, hey, we're looking for a writer. So it's trying to think of other ways. Yeah, constantly looking for opportunities, whether directly reaching out to companies, looking at job boards, and then referrals. And yeah, kind of tapping into my network and kind of either people asking me or me asking people in my network if they're looking for clients. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she didn't say this, but I'm gonna say it daily or set
Yes.
a goal for yourself weekly, and this is what you should be doing. Like or if you want to be a freelancer, you need to be reaching out to people daily,
All the time.
all the time, all the time. I would say most of the work is reaching out to people.
It really is, though. It
It's like
really,
I
really
would
is. Thank
say
you for
like
saying
70%, like
that.
so much. Let me go to the comments. Hi JG, what's up? And I see y'all cutting up. Hi Angela. First of all, hey. Hi Katrina. Katrina was in Spain dipping and doing it. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram. She's
Yay.
always outside. Um
Love it.
And then we have some really great questions from Yvonne, who is my co-reporter for the day. Um, she says clients from local businesses in Spain or US comp.
Great question.
Yeah.
So most of my clients, all my clients right now, are from the U.S. Just because that's my bread and butter. That's where I'm from. It's just easier. I am now pursuing local businesses in Spain. This is a new project that I'm working on. Slow and steady wins the race. So yeah, the market is different. I'm learning the market. I feel like in the US, it's very business, and I feel like it's just very normal, just like to send an email to someone, jump on a call with someone, and then uh, write up a contract. In Spain, I'm learning what business looks like, and so reaching out to local businesses. So hopefully, I'll have an update. I'll let you know, Yvonne, when I book my first local business. But that is something that I am tapping into.
And she asked this question as well. I think it's kind of related. Mainly contract or freelancing magazine work or both?
Um, Mainly freelancing. Well, that's kind of weird. It's a mixture of both. It depends on the client. The clients that I have now, they're like freelance contracts, so it's kind of much. I don't want to say retainer because I don't know if that's a word, but just like continuous work, like monthly work from them. And then sometimes I'll have like short term clients that I'll just have for like a project or two. So kind of I'm learning to, in all transparency, I'm learning to be more deliberate when it comes to contracting. And so learning to just work with clients that are for the long term, and having that contract in place so that it just guarantees work. So I kind of feel like if you're someone that is thinking about freelancing, then really think about who you want to work with and getting them into like a long term type of contract, because that'll just it's better for you both in reality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is your reminder to like the video. Kristen's here giving us all this good information. We love her. We thank her for joining us. So if you have any questions about writing, living, traveling in Spain, drop them in the comments. Put a Q in front of them so I can see. Um, Miss Sheree, to you. So she's so happy for you. You found a new life abroad. We love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes, more smoozing. um, so I guess my next question would be, how do you manage work-life balance? I think sometimes as a freelancer, you can end up working too much, especially if you like your job. So, how are you organizing your time?
I feel like every week it's like a new way to organize my time. It's a constant struggle. I don't want to say struggle. It's a constant thing. It's I think one is learning when I work best during the day, understanding, I'm a morning person. I work best in the morning. So I try to concentrate my days, more work in the morning, midday, less work in the evening, because then I feel like my brain kind of slows down. Um, and then having activities that I have to go to. So, like, I have flamenco classes. I have, like, excuse me, like weekly brunches with my friends. We'll like meet for. So I think that the way that I balance it out, because I do work from home essentially a lot, is like having something that'll like take me out of the house. So it's like I meet a friend for coffee, or like I have like a nice hiking trail that's very close to my house. So like I'll go do that and be like, okay, at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever, I'm gonna go for a walk. So just doing things that like get me out of the house and get me like away from the computer, is something that I like schedule. And having a schedule, I think, really does help me have that balance. Is that like, okay, these are my work hours. These are when I'm going to do something that's for me. And then having a routine, whether a morning routine, evening routine, just like, okay, something that kind of fills me up on a daily or weekly basis.
Awesome. And we have another question from Yvonne. Do you have a niche? Yvonne, you can keep
Mhm.
asking your questions. I told you you're my co-host today, so you can keep asking your questions.
No, I love it. Thanks for all the questions, Yvonne. I think it's great. Yes, I do have a niche. I have several niches. My main niche is travel, working with travel brands, focusing on like cultural travel, cultural experiences, travel trends, travel news. Those are kind of like my niche areas of travel writing. But I also write a lot about personal finance, women empowerment would probably be like my third niche. Is to kind of doing empowerment pieces or lifestyle pieces, things that'll kind of help that that'll help women in their day to day life. So I think those would probably be my like three niches. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Do you tell people that you're abroad since a lot of your customer or a lot of your clients are in the US? Do you disclose?
Yeah, I do. Just because too, because I'm like, if I don't answer your email right away, like, yeah, I want you to know why, because
Just
I'm
so
probably
you
sleeping.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I think luckily a lot of people are very accepting of remote workers and remote life. And I'm very fortunate that my as long as I meet my deadlines, like they're fine. As long as I can meet my deadlines, it's not like something I need to like be on call for or like work with people in a certain time. So yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who is just starting out freelancing or they want to jump into freelance writing but they don't really know where to start?
Mm-hmm. I have okay. Maybe someone messaged me this, and I haven't finished giving her my answer, so maybe she's listening. But the
Maybe.
first thing is,
I'm gonna try to
um,
uh sorry to cut you off. So Kirsten
yeah,
actually has a YouTube channel that I'm going to find. I have a very loud keyboard. I apologize. I like to sound
okay.
hard. So
I was gonna say that
I'm gonna
that's
drop
important. I like
yeah.
it.
So I'm gonna drop Kirsten's YouTube in the comment section and pin it. You guys go follow her. She has a lot of great writing tips. That's actually how I found her and contacted her for the interview. So
Yay!
yay.
I was gonna say, yes. So if you want to start freelance writing, if you want to start freelancing, I think in anything, I think it's very important to have a portfolio. So something that just demonstrates your work, because that's the thing. It's like I feel like I've realized with freelance in difference from like a regular 9 to 5 or just a regular career, like remote job, even, is that those types of jobs, the traditional jobs, will rely very heavily on your resume, but freelance, they want to know what you can do. They want to see what you can do. So being able to show them, like, whether it's like these are the articles that I can write, or these are the types of articles that I write, these are examples of a website I designed, things like that. These are, if you're social media, like these are the examples of a social media post I can do. So getting together samples of your work, I think, will be your key to getting into to working with clients. Yes.
Yes.
So I would do that first. Know who you want to work with. Know who you want to work with. The type of, like, if you want to work with companies, individuals, things like that. I don't like to say niche down, but I say like have a focus. Like don't try, because I've made this mistake before too. Like don't try to work with everybody at the same time. Um, like if you like, I don't know, if you like writing about pets and travel and trains, like, don't try to have different clients from, all those different areas. Just try to kind of like focus in on, like, okay, for this quarter or whatever, I'm gonna just focus on writing about pets, and kind of do that. And then, yeah, if you see an opportunity that comes up, you can market yourself to write for travel or write for whatever. But don't try to spread yourself too thin. I think that, that's a trap that I think a lot of freelancers kind of get into. Like, I can do all the things, but you don't need to do all the things all at once. Just kind of focus in on what area you're really passionate about, who you want to work with, and then, yeah, like we said before, know your number, know how much you need to make. That also depends on where you're living. That might change depending on where you're living. Yeah, know your numbers. And then, as we said before, because I have to reiterate to myself too, reach out to people daily, reach out to people
Yeah.
constantly. It really is, and it's not just like posting on social media, although that can help, but it's literally like I have like an Excel sheet of like, okay, these are the companies that I want to work with. These are their contacts. This, I'm going to send out a letter this day. So yeah, so it's really just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It can feel awkward at first, but just the more you put yourself out, the more you directly try to connect with people, the better chances you are of getting hired.
Yes. And I want to add to that. So if you're a novice writer and you don't have anything to put in your portfolio, which you probably do, but you don't realize that you do, I would say make
Mm-hmm.
something up. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what do they call it? This is advice that people probably aren't going to get. So like let's say you want to work for a shoe company, right? Um draft the blog as if you're working for a shoe company, right? Like you want to work for Nike, draft them a blog, right? That hits certain keywords and like it's that way they can see your capacity. It's like your portfolio is going to
Exactly.
be about yeah, your portfolio is showing off your ability to do something so you can do it for them. So make something up.
Mm-hmm.
Create your own samples.
Exactly.
You wanna write an email campaign for Olay, write an email for Olay, right? Like just go ahead
Yeah.
and do it. And then tell them like, hey, this is what I can give you. That way you have something to show them. Um,
Yes.
yes, there were other things I wanted to ask you about. I'm so scattered brain. Well, you said a lot there. You said a lot there. Definitely reach out to people. How are you reaching out to people? Are you just doing email? Are you doing Indeed? Are you doing social? What's the
Yeah, I love email. So I start with email. And then I just learned a new tactic of following up with people on LinkedIn. So I'm trying to utilize LinkedIn a little bit more, but mostly is email. Yeah, and I don't really in that answer to really depends. I feel like most of the clients that I want to work with, I can contact them through email. If you're someone that like wants to work in a different space, it might be reaching out to people through Instagram or social media or LinkedIn. So it's kind of always knowing, where your audience is or where your potential client is, and knowing the best way to connect with them. Um, as far as local companies, and the reason why I make that face is because I feel like I'm gonna have to start doing like more in person. I was brainstorming today because I've been sending emails out, and I was brainstorming with someone. They're like, "Yeah, maybe just call them." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I can
So
see that.
sometimes you have to be open, yeah, to just reaching out to people in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. It I don't like cold pitching is so vulnerable. Like
Mhm.
don't
Mhm.
keep doing it. It's not something that comes naturally to me at all. Um let's see. Yvonne asked, have you
I, I
we oh sorry.
I
Sorry.
was gonna add to, yeah, no. I was really quickly. I was just gonna add, like, because yeah, cold pitching can be really awkward. So what kind of helps me too is just having a template. I just have like a template, and I just will adjust it, to meet whoever I'm reaching to. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier for me because I can kind of just like copy, paste, send, and it doesn't make it feel like I'm, reintroducing myself over and over again. It's just kind of like a process. So that
Do
might
you
help.
have any tips for people who want to create a template? Like what kind of things would they say in their initial email reaching out to a potential client?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I always usually introduce myself first and foremost, and I try to like pay a compliment. You don't have to. I personally like to do that just to kind of show that like, oh, I actually am interested in their company or actually know a little bit about their company. It does take a little bit more time. Like it doesn't take a lot of time, but it can take a little bit more time. So introduce myself, something personal that I like about their brand or their business, and then usually it's just simple as like, asking a question, asking if they need help with their blog or if they need help with, I don't know, their web copy. And then a link to my portfolio, and like ways that I can help them. And that's it. I try to keep it simple. You kind of just want to give them the information, give them what they need. Like if you're kind of thinking like, okay, what would this person need to hear from me, or what would make this person say yes? That's what you want to put in your template, and keep it simple. Don't try to send a lot of stuff because people don't have time. So it's kind of short and sweet. Is yeah, how I would keep it.
How often are you following up?
I follow up usually every week or two. And I usually follow up 1 or 2 times. Mm-hmm. I don't like to do more than 2 times. Some people I've heard from other writers when they pitch like publications, they'll like follow up 3, 4, or 5 times. I personally don't like to follow up that much because I kind of feel like, okay. But after the second or third time, it's like, okay, either you just are completely busy and you haven't been able to look at my email, or you're really just not into it. So yeah,
In
but following up is very important.
your newsletter, are you talking about who's the audience for your newsletter? Is it potential copywriters or is it I don't know. Is it just like keep with Kirsten?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great question. My newsletter, I want to say, is mostly just other travelers and other people that I think that are curious about the life that I have and kind of living abroad and traveling. And so I just try to share my personal story. So it is kind of more people that are just like interested in my life. Thank you very much for the people that are on my list. I think some of them might be copywriters in there, but it's just, I want to say it's an audience of travelers kind of interested in this kind of travel lifestyle that I have, and I try to share personal stories, advice, and things like that that will help them either to travel more or just kind of all in all. I try with my newsletter to help people just have a life that they love. Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll go back to this question that Yvonne asked. Have you found a writing community in Spain and what are your favorite bookstores in the area?
Oh, those are really great questions, Yvonne. Thank you. I found there is a writing community a little bit in Madrid. I haven't really connected to them too much just because I'm not in Madrid. But in the bigger cities, there's a Facebook group, so I try to just like keep up with them through the Facebook group and kind of just read the posts when I can. But unfortunately, I think where I'm at, there's not a big writing group. Even in Spanish, I don't even think there's a big writing group. So I just try to keep up with people online that I can. And my favorite bookstores in the area, we don't have a lot of chain bookstores. We have like a lot of like mom and pop bookstores. But we are opening. There's a bookstore called Reread, and it's a secondhand bookstore. And I love secondhand bookstores. Those are
The
like my favorite.
smell.
Uh, yes. Yes, I just feel like there's just so many like hidden gems, and I don't know. It's just like, oh, you're giving a book a second chance. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go back to a question that Miss Cherie asked. What made you choose Spain?
Yeah. I always like to say that Spain kind of chose me in a way, because I never really thought about coming to Spain. I was very invested. I love, Central and South America. I love Latin culture. I was like, okay, this is my vibe. And then I was in Panama, and it just kind of felt like it was time for me to move on. Not any reason in particular, but I was just like, okay, I think it's time for the next step. And I found this opportunity in Spain to be a language assistant, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I felt like the universe kind of was gently telling me, like, go to Spain. Because then I was meeting people from Spain. People that I knew were like telling me about their travels to Spain. They're like, oh, you're going to love it. There's this, there's that. there was just kind of all these little like things in my life that were like Spain, Spain, Spain. So it's just like, okay.
I love it. I love
I
listening to the universe. When you set the attention, the universe will rise to meet you. I believe it.
exactly, exactly.
Katrina says, when I was determined to move into public affairs, I sent an email to every public affairs director in the national capital region. I asked to volunteer in their office on my day off. I got one yes. I mean, that's the gist. That's the name of the game, especially when you're in business for yourself and you're freelancing. You have to send out,
Yeah,
you're going, there's no way around it. You have to
no.
send out that email. You have to put yourself on the chopping block.
Hmm.
I feel
Hmm. Yeah.
But really, the luxury bucket list says, do you ever use AI tools to help with creating your business? I like using AI to create templates. I'm trying to figure out how to use it to write code for building an app. Well, she's smart. She's a smart.
That's you. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. I remember someone told me that writing code can be a little bit complicated with AI, but I feel like that's like the next thing. It's like it's starting. Little by little. But I do use AI. Not yeah for I use it. Someone had described it as kind of like an executive function, and I'm kind of just like, 'cause I'm an ideas person, and I just like kind of so what will happen to me is sometimes I'll just have so many ideas and I just like don't know where to start. So I'll put it on a prompt into ChatGPT, and then it'll give me like answers, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, now I know what to do. Like then it kind of just like organizes it for me. And I have used it for templates. I didn't think of that before to mention, but yeah, I definitely have used it for templates. But if you do use it for templates, I remember reading this, just be really it's really important that you adjust it so that it speaks to your tone of voice, especially because I remember hearing this about like job interviews, how people are using chat gpt for cover letters, and a bunch of cover letters are coming in almost exactly the same because everyone's just like putting in use chat, you make a cover letter with this job description. So use it as a jump starter. Use it as just kind of just like, oh, I don't really know how to organize my ideas. Like, ChatGPT, can you write a template including A, B, and C? And then when it generates it, just add your own style. Adjust it, make it sound like you. Don't make it. Make sure it doesn't sound like ChatGPT.
Okay, I'm gonna get on my soapbox a little bit because, and I'm sure you can speak to this too. There's a lot of brands out there who think that they can just use ChatGPT to write their
Mm-mm.
content, and we're not there yet. Okay,
Mm-mm.
we are
Mm-mm.
not there yet. I don't know how many times you can navigate. I don't know how many untold stories you have. I don't know how many what do they say, like boosts. Like there's just certain language that is so clearly Chat GPT or AI
Yeah.
assisted. Like you still need a human. it is
Yes.
it is
Yes.
a tool.
It
AI
is a
is a tool,
tool.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
all for working smarter, working more efficiently. But when you take
Mm-hmm.
the voice and you take the tone out of a copy piece, it shows. And your customers know that. Your customers know that they're reading AI generated text, and they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
it. And as
No.
of now, it's not going to rank in Google because Google is cutting
Yes, that is a very good point. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to say to answer this question, I use ChatGPT to generate leads. So
Oh, yay.
yeah, there's a way that you can do it to kind of I use it to create like a spreadsheet. It doesn't put it in a spreadsheet, it can, but it's kind of difficult for me to copy and paste. But I use it to pull up businesses that are in my niche with the contact information. And that's like a straight
Yeah.
fire way to just generate like a
Yeah.
bunch of them. And then you can transfer it over into a spreadsheet. And then that makes
Mhm.
sending out cold pitches really easy. Um,
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning that. I started doing that too. I was just like, because now that I'm trying to reach out to like local businesses, I was just like, I'm looking for a travel business that does like A, B, and C in this city in this region, and it's just a lot easier and a lot faster than like going through Google and like going through every link. You just get a list. You can put their website, their contact, and yes. Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Streamline.
The luxury bucket list also says record yourself speaking and put the transcript into AI. Yes, I recommend um,
Oh,
for people who are like, I can't write this, I don't know how to write. I always say, just talk.
yeah.
Just talk, and then
Mhm.
stick it into ChatGPT and it'll clean it up for you. I mean, it won't be as
Yeah.
good as like if I write it, but do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yes. Oh, you think I'll do a maybe I should okay, I'll do a how-to video on how I do that.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so if you guys have any more questions for Kirsten, she's here, let me know. Again, like the video if you have not already. You want to talk about dating?
Say it again?
You want to talk about dating?
Sure.
Do you be outside speaking to the men? Have you been dating international in these international streets? What does that look
Okay.
like?
Now I am in a relationship. So before, I'll talk about the before. I have dated. I think there's just so many mixed reviews on Spanish men. Um, I don't even know what to say. I don't. They're they. I have a criteria. I'll say this. I think what has helped me date is having a little bit of a criteria in such of like I need to date somebody
Yeah,
that
I didn't
has
want to
traveled.
assume. I did not want to assume the men's or the ladies. Sorry,
Thank
I
you.
want to assume. Right.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah. For me, I speak on the men. The men. Yes. I I feel like I make sure that I try to date men that have traveled and that have been outside of Spain because I think that just changes your mentality when you have traveled, when you have gone to other parts of the world. Um, but it's some people I know have dated Spanish men and have gotten booed up like really fast. That wasn't my experience with a lot of Spanish men. Um, it's weird. I don't know. I feel like I've dated all types. I feel like I've dated some that were really flaky, some that were too clingy, some I kind of feel like I've dated all of the men that kind of like didn't know what they wanted. They like acted like they knew what they wanted, and then when things got like a tiny bit serious, um, they would like run away. So yeah, so it's been a roller coaster ride dating. I think that
She said, "Let me see your passport immediately. Hand it over. We need a culture king." Yes.
yes, yeah. So dating, I think I just going in knowing what you want and knowing what you're looking for. And I think the thing with dating is that it's kind of a job. It's kind of like if you really want to find someone, I think that it just takes getting out there, going on some good dates, going on some not so good dates, and kind of just like keep trying until you find the person that you want to be with. Um, yeah,
It should be a job,
it
right?
is a
Like,
job. Yeah,
people put
yeah,
more work into their careers. They should put it in.
and yeah, in the dating and finding their partner. So yeah, so I found my partner almost a year ago, and we actually did meet dancing. So you never know, if you go dancing, you
That
might
was my
find
next
someone.
question. How do you meet guys? Or I guess you haven't been outside in a minute. But
I
how do
haven't
you meet guys?
before. I was a Tinder person. I was a Tinder girl. I did meet the guys on the Tinder, and again, it's a job, in a sense where it's like I remember being very specific with my profile, very specifically saying like the things that I'm looking for, the things that I'm into, very specific with my swiping. Like if they didn't have their profile filled out, if it was just some like picture of them and like them without a t-shirt, I was just like, nah, not even gonna waste my time with that. I did have those weird interactions with people, with guys. It just like, I remember one guy was like, "Oh, do you live alone?" Like it was like his third question that he asked me, and I'm just like, "Why do you need to know?" So you kind of just have to like, again, go through the riffraff, and then you find one that's like, "Oh, okay, this guy's cool," and then you take a chance with him. So, but Tinder, but I think it's always best to meet people in person if you can. So just going out to the bars, language exchanges. You just got to be out. You just got to be kind of out and about. Um, and yeah.
That's not gonna happen. You asking me to leave my house. Um,
I know.
what has been your experience? Because I know this is a big concern when Black
Mhm.
women go abroad. So, what has been your experience with the fetishization of it all? Do you feel like Spanish men are only after you for one thing and one thing only? Like, what has the general consensus been?
I want to say it's been like 50-50. I've definitely, luckily, the guys that have only wanted that one thing and have fetishized me, I feel like they show their true colors very early on. So
Yeah,
sometimes we don't even get past the chat. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, no. Thank you for showing your true colors. And then it's kind of like uh, the thing that's kind of in the back of my head when I go out with someone for the first time. I'm just like, is he really into me? Or is he just trying to like have his first black girl, you know? And so I really just tried to pay attention to like what he says, how he interacts with me. Does he show interest in me? Are we having a conversation? Are we talking about different things? Is he pointing out, like I had one guy didn't make it past the chat, but he just kept talking about my skin color and kept talking, like referring to like me getting darker, like calling me these like nicknames, and I'm just like, no, like this is not gonna happen. So yeah, so I think it's just if I smell a hint of like, no, this guy is not genuinely into me, then it's just like I just stop it in its tracks. But yeah, so I feel like it's been 50-50. I've had some great dates and experiences where I feel like we connected, we laughed. I feel like I was treated as a person and looked at as a person, and then there's some where it's just like, this feels icky, and I'm not gonna repeat this.
that's fair. So, for the girls who want to date internationally, basically what you're saying is vet the men the same way that
Yeah,
you would in the US. Not everybody
yeah,
deserves your presence, your physical presence,
hmm
right? So
hmm
just go ahead and swipe left. Um,
exactly.
compare and contrast dating in Panama versus dating in Spain.
I feel like I barely dated in Panama. Did I? I'm trying to remember. Um, yeah, I feel like I barely dated in Panama. I think it had to do when I was in the city. I don't know. I felt like I just never. I like even when I went out to like dancing and clubbing, like I just never found people that I was genuinely in, or men that I was genuinely attracted to. And then in Panama, I lived in for a year. I lived like in a small beach town, so we didn't have like a lot of people coming through all the time. So the dating pool was limited. Luckily, I found like I think in my year there, I think I dated like two or three men that I felt were like, oh, these are I like these guys, they're cool. But that was in a year, so yeah, it's so yeah, I feel like the dating pool was smaller in Panama. I feel like and two maybe too because I was in Spain after the pandemic. I kind of feel like after the pandemic, everybody was kind of just like, let's get out, let's talk, let's connect. So I think that maybe opened up more possibilities for me to date being in Spain. Um, but yeah, I feel like I don't know, Latin men, but then that's the thing. Like Latin men, I feel like it's just a little. They have a little bit more admiration, I think, than Spanish men in some aspects. In some aspects, because like I don't know. I mean, you have to be careful with the Latin men that I've had experience with. You know, I don't want to stereotype. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but
They're not here.
yeah, no,
They can't. They don't know. They won't be here. They won't be here.
but Latin men. If you anyone listening has experience with Latin men, you know that they
You know the vibe.
have this charm. Yeah, it's like
Mm.
ooh, you they like make you feel like you're the queen of the world. Um, not all Spanish men do that. I learned.
That's fair.
Not all Spanish men, and that's okay. My partner though is very caring and very sweet. And he does have that little like, even though he's not Latin, he does kind of have that like little admiration. So yeah, so I think it's a different flavor. It's a different spice.
And did you meet your boo thing in Jaén,
Mm-hmm.
or did you meet him in a bigger city? Do you think that makes
I
a difference?
I think it does make a difference. I was it's so funny. While I was since I've been living here and before I met my partner, I was like, I'm not gonna date within my same city. If I date, I wanna date someone that's in another city. Because I was just like, small town, I don't want everybody in my business. I just felt like it also just felt like mentality wise it would be better. I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. I want someone that probably, if you're in a bigger city, you probably have traveled more, you've probably seen the world a little bit more. But then, nope. I ended up meeting my partner here in Jaén. I was like, okay, so sometimes you have a silly rule, and then you realize that rules are meant to be broken.
I love that. But some of the rules are not silly. So, what are some of the rules
Yeah.
that you have when dating abroad? What are some of your restrictions? So, you already said they must have a passport with stamps on it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other?
I think respect is always going to be number one in my book. And I think that can be tricky because I think, different cultures view women and respect women in a different, light or a different way. But the other is just like cultural awareness and cultural appreciation. Because, like, okay, yeah, you may not have traveled everywhere, maybe not have gone to the other side of the world, but at the very least, just have an awareness and appreciation of other cultures. Because I feel like I want to be able to share my culture as a black woman, as a black person with you. And if you just have zero awareness of other cultures, like, how am I going to do that? You know? Like, if you just know your culture, it's like, I mean, I can, but I just kind of feel like, I don't know, how open are you going to be? So having that cultural awareness is key. I think just be, I don't want to say funny, but like, I got to be able to laugh with you. I got to be able to laugh with you in whatever way that is. Either you telling a joke, is it you being silly? I don't know, but I think humor and laughter are something that are very important to me. So being able to share that with someone, and I think being able to connect with them emotionally and intellectually are very important aspects. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are good. All right, let's get off dating. I'm already over it. Um, let's talk about food. What's your favorite thing to eat in Spain? You can eat it every day.
I'm not gonna say paella, even though I love paella. I'm
I
not
was
gonna
gonna
say it.
say paella.
Uh, it's good. It's good. It's good. I can do that almost every day. But the thing I think I can eat every day is, what is it called? Gambas al ajillo. It's pretty much just like fried shrimp, not fried shrimp. Yeah, fried shrimp, not breaded. Fried shrimp with olive oil and garlic, and
Mm.
it's just so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it. It's literally the simplest thing, like just like sautéed shrimp with garlic and olive oil, but it's really good. I like it.
I don't want to sound
That
like
or mhm.
I was gonna say I don't want to sound like an elitist when I say this, but like it's probably because the ingredients are fresh. Like when I was
Yeah.
in Spain, even like bread, like eating bread from the bakery with a little bit of
Hmm.
olive oil. some salt and pepper,
Mm-hmm.
like some garlic, some tomato. I'm like, what is this? It what?
Yes.
Like, why is this so good? It's just bread.
That is the truth. That is a very,
What?
very Spanish way too. It's just like some bread, some olive oil, like a little bit of tomato. You're good to go.
A little bit
4 or 5
tomato.
ingredients max. Yes.
Listen, the first time I saw somebody rub like a garlic clove on some bread, I was like taken aback. Like, so you're not gonna do anything else? This is what you're gonna do? All right. And then I ate it and I was like, what? They just have this out? They just have bread out? Like, crazy. It's the fresh ingredients. It's because the journey from the farm or the bakery to your table is that big.
Yes, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
But sorry, what else were you saying?
No, yeah, that I think those are excellent points. Yeah, I didn't really like tomatoes that much until I came to Spain. I will say that. Tortillas, not the Mexican tortillas, but they have this like it's called a tortilla. It's pretty much like scrambled egg with potato and onion, sometimes without onion. But I love it. It's like so simple. Again, I think it's just like the fresh ingredients. Like I could have. It is what. Okay.
I will direct everybody to Kirsten's newsletter. Well, she'll put engaging content such as the best places to eat in Spain. I'm just making stuff up. But if you want to,
I could. I could. I don't. I'm gonna do that. I know I need to do that for Madrid because there's a couple of spots in Madrid that I really love. I'll get that Madrid list to you, Yvonne.
what
Don't you
city
worry.
has
Don't you
the
worry.
best? What city has the best nightlife? You feel?
I want to say I haven't really partied in Barcelona. Probably there be. Okay, so I should say disclaimer: Spanish nightlife goes really late. It kind of starts at like 1 in some places. So if you like to party, if you are a night owl, Spain is perfect for you because we're used to clubs closing in the U.S. at 2. People be coming to the club at 2. That was my first experience going out in Spain. I were like getting ready to go to one of the clubs, and I was like, oh, it's 11, 12. And they're like, I was like, okay, we're gonna get to the club. They're like, oh, no, 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 we're gonna go to this spot. We're gonna have drinks first, and then we'll probably go to the club at like 1:32. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I mean, excuse me.
This is why I
how
can't do it. Like, I'm not built for it because you tell me we're leaving the house at 1:30. I'm not showing up. I'm
exactly?
I'm asleep. I'm already
Yeah,
asleep. I've been
yeah,
asleep for like 4 hours at that point. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. So enjoy. But I know Madrid is really great for nightlife, and then Valencia, I would say too. I've had a lot of good times in Valencia. There's like live music. There's yeah, I would say those are my 2 recommended spots for nightlife.
I love that. So is there anything that you miss about the US? When was the last time you came back here?
I was in Minnesota in August because my mom's side of the family is there. So I just go back once a year. I've done that for I think 3 years now. And I'll visit my family there because I have like my aunts and my cousins and things like that there. What do I miss?
Was it like you came back home for a little bit and then you were like, all right guys, peace out, gotta hate it here.
Literally,
Leaving. Gotta leave.
literally. I think I didn't even like say goodbye to everybody. I think I said bye to like a few people, and I was just like, week in, week out. I was like, I don't want to get too comfortable here. I don't want to. It's just 1 week. I might do 2 weeks next year, but I was just like, nah, just get my little fix. See the people. I saw the people. We hung out. I gotta keep back to my life, guys.
You're like, bye.
Right. This is good. But I do miss some cultural aspects. And when I say cultural aspects, I just really mean Black culture. I think just yeah, I think the nightlife and like art like artistry life, I kind of just feel like art is a little bit more appreciated in the U.S. And as such as like performers, because I grew up with dancers in the United States, so like I know performers, I know artists, and I know in California it's kind of just like you can be an artist, it'll be tough, but you can be an artist and live your life and perform. But artistry is not always valued in the same aspect, I think, as in the United States. So that's something that I miss. Um, so food, people are very surprised when I say food, because they think that I'm talking about like hamburgers and things like that. And I'm like, no, I'm talking about like some really good fried chicken. I'm talking about like sweet potato pie. I'm talking about
Yeah.
cornbread, like stuff like that, guys.
The
I'm
way
not
I was
talking.
about to like, first of all, I can't cook. Let's start there. But when I was abroad, I had been abroad for like 10 months and I really wanted some greens and cornbread. And I was in Germany and they did not have
Oh,
cornbread. When I tell you, you have the, like, to crave something and not have any access to it, to wake up in
that's
the middle of
big.
the night and be like, can I have some red beans? And people are like, what are you talking about? And you have to find a substitute. It's treacherous. Yes, it's really treacherous.
It's like a stab to the soul. It's like, oh god, yes,
Yes. Um, but I've enjoyed you here. This was a great conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff. My last question, and if you guys have any questions in the chat, please drop them now. We are winding down. So if you have an actual question, like, I'll give these questions to her, obviously. And you know what? Maybe you should come back on the channel so we can chat again. I would love that.
I'd love to.
Yes.
Yes, I would love to.
Um, so my final question would be, what advice would you have for any Black women who are looking to travel abroad, either solo or otherwise? Any steps that they should take?
Hmm. I think always do your research and kind of know where you want to go. If you need help kind of making that leap, I think it's kind of searching for community before you get there. So going in the Facebook groups, reaching within your network too. Hashtag Black women in such and such country, and kind of see who's already there, and see kind of already kind of put those pictures in your mind of like what it could be like. Um, yeah, be prepared in however way that means to you. That might mean like health wise, that might mean, financially prepared, like whatever it is, like if you want to go abroad, whether it's to move or to travel, just like make sure you're prepared, like you got yourself, whether that is, yeah, if you just having health insurance, having travel insurance, whatever, having a good backpack. I don't know, whatever it is that you kind of feel like this is my security blanket. Just make sure you have that in place. Um, stay open. Stay open to where life can take you, and things might not go as planned. They often don't go as planned, but trust that life is leading you where you're supposed to be. And if you stay open, in my personal experience too, if I kind of just say like, okay, well, what's going to happen now, um, then I feel like that's when I've been led to the best situations or the best people.
100%. We have one more question. Two more
Mhm.
questions. How much has living in Spain helped with your Spanish? I heard of some people not really improving and others who improve a ton.
Yeah, that's another great question. I think that you get that, and I think that's very realistic because I think that Spain has helped me a lot, mostly because when I was big difference between when I was in Panama and when I was in Spain is that when I was in Panama, everybody wanted to speak English to me, which was fine for a while, but after a while, I was just like, guys, I'm not learning Spanish. Like, I need, and I think that too, so Spain has helped me a lot because most of the people here do speak Spanish or only speak Spanish. Sorry, only speak Spanish. A lot of people don't speak English, and even if they do speak English, they will prefer Spanish. So that helps me. That has helped me a lot. It has helped me with my confidence a lot too, because that's another thing. Another aspect of language learning is having the knowledge. The other aspect is actually having the confidence to use that knowledge. And so I think it just depends. I think some people, learn a lot because they pick up on the language a lot faster too. I know people like that. I'm jealous of people like that, or envious of people like that who can kind of just like listen. Like if you tell me a word in Spanish, and if I don't know it, like I need to see it. Like I need to see the word to like equate it to memory. Some people can just hear the word and it's just like stuck in their brain. Bless those people. I am not one of them. Some people are very shy when it comes to their language learning, so they are slower to learning. And honestly, life happens too. Sometimes you got to deal with your life, and sometimes language learning takes a back seat, and that has happened to me in my journey abroad. Is sometimes I have to focus on growing my business and having food to eat and finding a place to live. So I think so it really just depends on your lifestyle, but yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Bahan Alpha also asked, is there anything you would have done differently for your first year or so in Spain?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I honestly would have probably. I think I would have maybe studied a little bit more. I think I would have taken some Spanish classes. I did take a few Spanish classes, but I think I would have studied a little bit more or practice speaking. I think more so it's practice speaking, because I think that it was hard. It was hard to speak sometimes because Spanish speakers do speak fast. I've been very supported when it comes to my language learning within the Spanish people that I know, where it's like, if there is a miscommunication or they don't really understand something or I don't understand something, like we kind of like work together to figure it out. I think I would have just studied Spanish a little bit more. I think I would have saved a little bit more money, in all honesty. Um, because when I first started working as a language assistant, we didn't get paid right away, so that was hard. But I hustled, so it was okay. But I think that just having a little bit more financial security would have been nice. And I think I would have just like started to put myself out there a little bit more. I think I kind of eased into putting myself out there and kind of going out and meet people. I think I would have just like, all right, I'm here, let's go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And I was making faces because I'm looking at the luxury bucket list, talking about she's gonna find the nonas and the abuelas. 100%. You know the grandmamas got the hands. They have the hands in the kitchen. We support it. We are eaters on this channel. Anyways, Kirsten, thank you so much for coming to the channel. Everybody, I want to remind you to please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Subscribe to Kirsten's channel too. Am I saying that? I have like a slight speech impediment. Thank you so much for coming. We'll
Thank
try to get you back on to chat about something else. This was a great discussion. Thank you so much. That's all
you.
I got. Everybody, thank you for joining the chat, and peace out.